the RH portfolio and the services and solutions that we have. You know, RH is a value-added distributor, and we have been in the industry for the last 15 years and have been growing exponentially year on year. The portfolio that we really have is around cybersecurity. You know, most of the products that you really see in our portfolio is around the cybersecurity space. We've recently added a few infrastructure players like Hitachi, Vantara, BMC, and few more. What's really the philosophy of the company is that we will add value to whoever we are representing. You know, so from solution perspective, also it's just not about delivering a product to a customer or software to a customer. It is also adding a lot of services around it. Services like technology services. It could be helping customers and partners and even OEMs, for that matter, delivering POC services, after sales services, AMC support. We provide all those solutions and to our customers. This is a very interesting fact because most of the value-added distributors are not doing a lot of these activities. For example, if you really look at it, way back about 6-7 years back is when we started engaging around the cybersecurity space, and was tied up with Radware and a few more players around that point of time. We bring a lot of companies into India. Some of the technologies that we brought in today have a full-fledged team in the country. Technologies are around different areas of data management, data security, data storage. The way we operate is that we work very closely with the end customers also, because end of the day, the real need is understood and got from the end customers. They are the ones who tell us what is the requirement. So we just don't have a team that is managing the partners or the OEMs. We have a team which also works very, very closely with the end customer, understanding their needs, understanding their requirements, and then coming back and making sure the complete solution or the stack that is going to the customer, is as per the requirements of those customers. From our technology partners that we have, pulling in those technologies, putting a solution for a customer together is what all the team does. And this really helps our OEM community because we add an extra layer for them in terms of offering feet on street, technology people on ground, helping them in delivering POCs on their behalf. At the same time, from the partner perspective, also it becomes a big value because a lot of times our reseller partners do not have the technology know-how or the expertise available with them. So with this kind of a model that we have, which is quite unique from the distribution perspective, we are able to help most of our partners in a big way and help them win and give right solutions to their customers. One thing is very, very clear. We will do all the evangelizing with the customers. We will do all the work with the customers. But when it comes to actual closure of the order, that will be done by the reseller or the partner or the SI who's out there. We will not go and pick up the order directly. So all the support in terms of sales, pre-sales, all technology solutioning and all will be done by us. But very, very clearly, we will not pick up the order directly. And that's where it's a win-win for everyone in the ecosystem. For the customer, he gets the right solution. For the partner, he's delivering the right solution. And we are not interfering and we are not eating his lunch, if you really ask me, by not picking up the deal directly. It's him who's going to pick up the deal. And for the OEM, it's an extended arm that we have acted to ensure that their technology is being showcased properly with the customer and the best usage of that technology is used by the customer. The most important aspect of being away from the traditional distribution model that we have is what I've just explained to you. Obviously, that's a very unique thing that we are doing with most of our partners and OEMs and the customers for sure. But at the same time, I think our presence in different parts of the country, it's a pan-India presence, as you would be aware. So we have a very strong ecosystem and we use a lot of marketing support to ensure we are doing the right reach out to our customers, partners, and from the partners to the customers. So if you really ask me digitization perspective, what we've really done is we have utilized our marketing arm. Some of our OEMs, our marketing is their marketing team. So we are helping a lot of our OEMs in their marketing pursuits here. It's not the sales of the technology, it's purely marketing activities. It could be things like working on events with them, helping them with the PR releases, working on their PR releases, working with the industry bodies to connect the right forums, participate in the right forums, and then at the same time helping them with their EDMs, helping them with reach outs to their customers, and consolidating that information and reaching out to those customers through the partner ecosystem, sharing that with the partner ecosystem. So it's just not about being a pure play distributor. It's much, much more than the regular distributor would do. One, obviously, from the sales and pre-sales perspective. The other is very importantly is marketing perspective. And that is really, for the last 2 years, we've seen a huge uptake from a lot of our OEMs, and we participate in a lot of forums with them, ensuring that we get the right kind of leads, right kind of information is shared with our OEM so that they're able to position and put the right kind of solutions to their customers, in turn winning deals for these guys. Look at this word called value. We call ourselves a value-added distributor, so I think the portfolio that we really carry is the value portfolio. You will not really find the volume portfolio. We don't have servers, we don't have PCs, we don't do printers, so very clearly that's not our game. That's not the space that we are in. Our space is where we are adding value to our partners, to our OEMs, and to our customers. So the complete portfolio, if you look at that RH has, you will not find a 100 kind of a product. It's a lot of work that needs to be done. The space that we are in, even the bigger players that we represent, like the Radware, the Fosca, the Gemaltos of the world, or the Thales that they call it now, we've been doing this business for a long time, but it's a lot of work that goes in terms of solutioning, in terms of going to customers, in terms of working with the OEMs very closely. And I really appreciate the kind of support we get from each one of these OEMs that we have. They also understand the amount of work we do, the amount of activities we do on ground, and it's working together on that area. So if you really ask me volume versus value, I don't have a volume play in that sense. And we've helped a lot of organizations come to India, as I mentioned earlier. So we work very closely with them, and I agree with you, yes, they are the ones we do the marketing activities for. We act as an extended marketing team for them in India. And that's the philosophy that we follow, that we're just not adding value in terms of selling a product, but also creating a visibility for that OEM that we are representing, and how we are able to partner with them as part of their own team and expand to the country. That is what our vision always has been, and always has been that can we add value? If we are not able to add value to any of the product lines, you will not see that in our portfolio. We will not work with those kind of OEMs. Because at the end of the day, we take this word value very, very seriously in this overall scheme of things when we are in the market. We are very, very focused around data and data management, securing the data. So everything that we talk about is data. And every reseller who's associated with us or working with us obviously needs to be in that space. Cybersecurity has been our forte. It's a huge amount of maximum business comes from the cybersecurity space for us. And if I look at the partner ecosystem, they are these partners who are in the cybersecurity space. They work very, very closely with us. Now, it could be a reseller, a digital reseller, SI, it could be the bigger SIs, global SIs. We work across all of them, and kind of what we do, as I mentioned, that we work with the customers. It's just not, again, we will go and work with the government entities. We will go work with the enterprise accounts, the corporates. It could be a public sector undertaking. So we work across all these areas. And because we are securing or we are managing the data, which is very critical for all these customers, the SIs who work with us, who play with us, are obviously the bigger ones, the larger ones who understand the space and can provide solutions around the space. And I could name a few of them. It could be players like Wipros, HCLs, TCS of the world, to ACPL, and the tier 2 other resellers who are working in the market today. This pandemic has taught us all a lot. It's affected each and every one of us, and cash flows, customers not being able to pay to the partners, partners not able to pay to us. But one thing I have to really say here is we've ensured that all our OEMs were paid on time. We didn't hold any payments of any of the OEMs which were due. So I think that's one thing that we are very, very clear. We will not, whatever the situation is, we will ensure that our OEMs are taken care of and their money is not stuck. I would also appreciate some of the OEMs. They have come forward and said, okay, we could extend the payment terms a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or whatever. So they have been also very forthcoming, and we've been very, very. I think it's all about partnership, and end of the day, it's a win-win for everyone. They also understand our situation. We understand our partner situation. So it's all about understanding where we are with this pandemic, the way things have been affected. So all of us in the ecosystem have been very supportive of each other. And at the same time, if you really see, the deliveries were hampered for the first 2 months, especially April and May. Because of the lockdown, we couldn't deliver equipments and everything. So all projects went, I would not say for a toss, but they got delayed. All the projects got really delayed. Everything that we were supposed to close in April or May got delayed, but possibly the equipments were on transit, or possibly equipments were pulled in by us already into the country. So obviously the cycle for payment cycle started with the OEMs. So we work with the OEMs, we work with the partners, we work with the customers to ensure that nobody suffers too much. I would not say nobody suffers, but all of us suffered. But when we're suffering together. When we are celebrating, we're celebrating together. So that's the philosophy that we followed. And yes, we did give some leeway to our partners in terms of delayed payments from them. If the delivery didn't happen on time, or we know that they couldn't go to the customer site and deploy the products, obviously because of that, they would have suffered further. So we've helped them in terms of ensuring we extend that payment cycle for them. There were certain partners who couldn't send their resources for deployment. So we helped them by sending our resources for deployments to those customer sites to ensure that they are able to get their revenue recognized quickly and get their payments out. So there are multiple ways, multiple areas that we help them, just not about collecting the money, but also in terms of delivering the equipments, in terms of delivering the services. Even if they were not our services, we still ensure that we help the partner to ensure he gets what is due to him from the customer. So multiple ways. But I think I must appreciate the whole ecosystem here. Each and everyone played a very important role. Everyone was there to support each other. It was not that I don't care if you don't get your money, but you need to pay me. It was not that. I think everyone was very supportive of each other. And end of the day, it's all about partnership. It's all about working together. And truly, this pandemic has shown that as humans and as organizations, when we work together, the human aspect plays a very, very important role. And that is what came out very strongly during this pandemic. 2 months, 3 months, we struggled. All of us struggled, especially in India, because 31st March is our year end. It's not going to be impacted so badly. But then we realized after the first 2 weeks or so that no, it is not what we thought. This is a long haul, And then immediately we started working at the back end with the teams, with our supply chain teams, with our courier server deliveries partners, courier services, and all these guys. How can we ensure whatever was in country, that at least gets delivered to the customers, because certain projects were critical, specifically some of the government projects. So ensure that the deliveries happen, So taking special permissions from governments, from the local authorities, all that activity. Our team did a fantastic job of ensuring that none of the partners' deliveries suffered. Yes, they got delayed a few days, but after taking the due precautions, that was very, very critical, because health obviously was of paramount importance for all of us. So we ensure that we cover these areas and then we deliver the equipments. But yes, it did suffer. Delays were there, challenges were there, but I think we managed it pretty well. And a lot of it was also software that we had. So that obviously didn't get affected. That obviously got delivered because it was online, all that activity. And we immediately, I think within the first week, we realized that this is a long haul. So we started working from home. Our partners, or sorry, not about our employees who were managing the supply chain, they were up and running very quickly from the back end, connected with all their ecosystem players that they could work with to ensure whatever is the best way to get deliveries done, getting special permissions, not only locally, but from international locations also to get equipments out here, working with the OEMs in those locations to ensure whatever was possible to be delivered, whatever was critical, gets delivered on time and equipments reach our customer sites. Marketing perspective, how to reach out to our partners, how to train them, how to get them up to speed with the technologies that we represent. All those activities we were able to deliver beautifully. Our marketing team worked very, very closely with the OEMs to ensure the partner ecosystem is well versed with the technology. The work from home requirements of a lot of customers suddenly came in. So but you can go to the customer. So how do you reach out to them? So those activities, those reach outs, those EDMs, all these were organized very, very fast by the team. Now because we represent multiple products, that's another very interesting aspect that I would like to bring out here. We built complete solution stacks for some of these work from home solutions, and we started propagating that to the market. It was just not a point solution. It was just not one product that you were giving. There were the combination of multiple products is what the team started propagating to the market and reaching out to all the partners and customers. What we did was, and marketing played a very important role here, was ensuring that the thought leadership of RH in terms of the cybersecurity reaches out to them, be it through social media platforms, be it through EDMs, be it through any channel that was possible at that point of time, because obviously we were not able to do events, but there were a lot of virtual events. So participating with our OEMs in those virtual events, a lot of work happened around that time. I think the busiest people, I thought, during this pandemic were the marketing guys, because they had a lot of work suddenly coming up to them, and they had to be really innovative. They couldn't do the traditional marketing activities that they've been doing, so they had to be really innovative. They had to really innovate in different ways. And the pressure of webinars, ensuring very simple way of delivering webinars, it's no challenges, no issues. Technology needs to work, so a lot of interesting challenges I'm sure they faced, and they worked very well with the backend team from technology perspective. Across the board, I think they've done a phenomenal job. I should proudly mention this: 1/3 of my resources are technology people. So they are all hands-on people, technology people, and that's again a big pride of RH, the strength in technology that we have. And good part is all of them were able to quickly gather wits, get everything in place, and put the work from home solution in place for the internal organization, so that we are all connected immediately. We don't face any problems, we don't have any challenges, because at the end of the day, anything that is being delivered, we all need to be in sync. So once we are connected, once we are in place, we will be able to support our partners, we will be able to support our customers. So once that was done, we understood the challenges that we faced when we were doing work from home or implementing work from home for ourselves. So that was a huge learning and fantastic learning, because we have offices again across the country, different geographies of the country. So once that was deployed, that was implemented, that learning helped us to support our partners and customers also. And if you really look at it, most of the technology that we represent, remote support, remote deployment, remote implementation is possible. And that was another big advantage. Sitting at your home, they were able to deploy and do a lot of support activities for their partners and customers. So we did have challenges, obviously, for the first month or so, because it was all new, it was all learning for all of us. But I think within a month and a half, we were all up to speed. We knew exactly what was to be done, how it was to be delivered, how it was to be supported. And our technology team did a fantastic job of that. Really proud of our team out there. We are in a very interesting space as a value-added distributor. Yes, we interact with the end customers, we work closely with the end customers, but there are a lot of customers we don't even see them. We've never seen them, but possibly we would have supported them remotely in their endeavors or when they're implementing their data centers or working on the cybersecurity solution. So there is obviously one set of customers that we have a direct engagement with in terms of evangelizing and working with them on their solutions and all. So that touch obviously remained always, and irrespective, because we couldn't go physically and meet them, but obviously over direct calls, or team meetings and Zooms and all, we were obviously having discussions with them and ensuring that we don't lose touch with those kind of customers. The new customers, we are lucky in this, I would say, because we have a lot of reseller community who's already in touch with tons and tons of customers out there in the market. And any requirements, any new requirements, the reseller community was coming to us. So what we ensured was that we were always in touch with our SI and reseller community. That's our strength, end of the day, 400, 500 active customer, partners across the country that we work with. They're our feet on the street. So even if we don't have direct touch, this is the extended arm of ours, which is already connected to those kind of customers. So any new requirements, needs from the customer would come through these teams. What we ensured was, was obviously being in regular touch with this reseller teams. B, training them on the new solutions that we were adding. If you really look at it, we added some 8 to 10 new products in the last 2 quarters during the pandemic. New technologies, new products around cybersecurity, around infrastructure. So we ensure that they are updated on the new technology that we have brought in, getting sessions for them, trainings for them, sales pitches and all that stuff. So they're able to go and talk more to their customers and create more funnel for the organizations. So that is one thing that we ensure, so that we don't lose touch with our existing customers, and also at the same time increase our reach through the reseller partners that we have out there. I would say that good for us, the business is picked up very well because of work from home. Obviously, the security challenges that customers are really facing, and people moving work from home. Obviously, a lot of endpoint solutions, a lot of VPN solutions, work from home solutions are out there. But at the same time, you need to secure all that. The real shift has happened is, how do I ensure? Right now, if everybody is coming to office, you would really maintaining or securing your office environment. But today, your office is the world. It's anywhere the person is sitting. A lot of people moved to their house, to their hometowns. Some of the hometowns were in villages. The connections were not very secure or were not good. So a lot of those challenges really has come up. And believe me, it's a learning every day. Every day we talk to a customer, it's a new learning that, oh, this could be a challenge. We didn't even think of it. So those kind of things are happening with this work from home scenario that suddenly has come up. Disaster recovery has become very, very critical for all the organizations. So solutions around disaster recovery. Now, I've always been saying that disaster could be for anyone. My laptop going down right now is a disaster for you and me, because we are in a discussion and a video interview, right? Whereas that's a disaster for me, but the building going down is a disaster for the organization. So multiple different scenarios are looked at during these kind of situations. And when somebody is supporting a client remotely from home, obviously to ensure the network connectivity is secure, the network connectivity is there. Before securing it, it's a seamless network communication is available. Then the security around it, because the client could be anywhere in the globe and you have got your SLA signed up with him. If you're a European client you're serving, you have the GDPR and all those compliances that needs to be taken care of. So how do you ensure that all this is controlled for the client, and it's thrown up a huge challenge for all of us, and I would not say there is a cookie cutter solution, or right now you have a solution for all that. Every day new challenges are coming in. The other major impact that I'm seeing is a lot of phishing attacks, a lot of accesses being taken over or denied. So a lot of those things are happening right now. But the cyber space, I think cyber war is kind of a cyber warfare, I would say, has increased tremendously in the last 3-6 months. And a lot of data centers are facing challenges. So DDoS attacks, those kind of attacks are happening across the globe. So we have solutions, we have technologies, and that's where I said we play a very important role because we've got solutions for each and every challenge that the customer is facing today. I think it's all about ensuring that you understand the challenge the customer is facing, and then you build a solution to take care of that. And that's what the team RH keeps on working on. Even if you look at it, we've got some new technologies and new tie-ups done. It was purely because we saw what was happening, and we need to ensure that we have solutions to curtail that, to stop those attacks that were happening. And that's the reason we've added new technologies, got into new spaces. That's how we are really working in the market today. Very interestingly, what I saw was the flexibility that everybody had. Once we all realized that this is a different animal that we're fighting, this is a different way of working that we need to do, we all became a little flexible with each other. The SLAs obviously played a very critical role, but there were flexibilities given because suddenly everyone realized, be it a customer, be it a partner, be it an OEM, everybody realized if we go by the signed off SLAs, nobody's going to benefit from it, right? So I think everybody became a little flexible. If I was maintaining the data center, now I have to maintain their homes also in a way. The laptops at the home, or they were coming in from outside the secured environment. They were logging in. So that flexibility had to be given. That they'll be able to log in from there. Obviously, you're compromising on an SLA possibly that you've signed. The set of people who are involved, the customer, partner, OEM, us, all of us, I think we became a little flexible to ensure we don't compromise on the security. We don't compromise on the deliverables that were there. At the same time, without penalizing each other, ensure that it's a win-win, it's a secured communication that is happening, data is secured, technologies are implemented, additional technology required would be put in. We will work out on the models a little later on, but let's make sure we move to the new way of working, but in a very secured environment. And everybody played an important role. From business perspective, the number perspective or the financial impact perspective, yes, it did affect initially. But again, as I joked earlier, that cybersecurity challenges with the new dynamics obviously is good for us because business is picked up. So I would still say that we've not got badly hit pandemic in terms of our revenues and our financials. We've pulled in very well. Maybe first quarter was a little slow, but still we were very, very close to our numbers that we wanted. This quarter looks excellent. So the first half would be a no-brainer for us. I don't think so we have any challenge in the first half as of now. The way we've been working, I haven't seen too much of a movement as of now, but discussions are on in that space, and I think as we move ahead, more and more customers will move there. But I guess right now it is more of let's secure what we have, whatever it takes, even if whichever model works the best, licensing model works best or pay-by-use works well, whichever works well to ensure right now to secure the environments, take care of the challenge that we are facing. Customers are more concerned about that. We are talking to a lot of them. Obviously, the shift will move to pay-for-use or pay-by-use, and that's a no-brainer. I think over a period of time, people will move to subscription models and those kind of models because commercially it might be more viable for some of them. But I would not say that for every technology or every piece that's a very viable option. Certain places or certain areas, licensing and physical requirements are going to be there. Both the models will coexist, and both have their own benefits. And I would not say that one will take over the other completely. So traditionally, we've been very strong in government and BFSI and in certain specific enterprises, and touchwood, for whatever reasons, I think these are the areas that did not get affected too much. BFSI, as you said, it's only grown. The businesses have only grown in BFSI space. Government has also been doing a lot of spending, a lot of initiatives they have taken, which helped us also. They've started moving forward, and a lot of interesting wins we've been having in last last 2 quarters. From BFSI perspective, we play a very, very important role across the government, PSU banks, or the private banks. So we have a very strong solutions. Healthcare also has picked up well. We were not very focused on healthcare earlier, but pandemic, the healthcare folks, and I think that's another area that we are picking up. And I must take this opportunity to even salute the healthcare workers and the educationists. I think they've done a fantastic job. A lot of time educationists don't get the credit, the teachers specifically. It was a very, very difficult task for them to move from a classroom to an online classroom. They are not trained on it, and they had to train kids. So they had to ensure that the kids are also trained on it. So my salute to the teachers. They've done a phenomenal and a fantastic job of ensuring continuity for the students. Sometimes I really feel, how did they manage it? And but each and every teacher, everything to ensure the kids don't suffer during this pandemic. So, but yes, technology played an important role, to ensure that the delivery of education happens to them. Healthcare also, a lot of online support is being delivered by the doctors. So all this is only opening up more and more requirements for technology, and more secure environments need to be built in. And that is where our role comes in as a value-added player here, to ensure that services and technologies are available. But I would also say that the amount of growth that we've seen in cybersecurity in last 2 quarters is quite surprising, but not surprising also, because suddenly the challenges became so big, so huge for everyone, that they had no choice but to invest in it. Number one will be Radware. Then we have Thales, we have Forescout. These are top three. And then there'll be players who are almost equal. Ixia is another very interesting player that we have, which is Keysight now. We've done phenomenal work with them in last 2 quarters. I think a lot of uptake for technologies from them. So they became really big for us. I think these are the 4 top technologies that we have. The growth for these players would be about 35 to 40% in our respect. For Radware, it will be about 10 to 15%, a little bit more than that, because our contribution of Radware in our portfolio is very huge, right? So obviously the growth, then obviously basis on that, the growth obviously becomes a little different. But for some of the other players, the growth would be about 35 to 40%. Data is the new oil, but whatever we do is around data. So securing data, ensuring data is stored at the right place, backed up in the right way, is available as and when required. So everything that we're doing is around that. So any technology, any new area, any new partnership that we do is all going to be around this space. The second area is obviously the security of the data centers. Now, with the new normal, obviously it is the laptops, the infrastructures that are outside the data centers. So that's another area that we very closely work with, and we look at technologies that are going to help us secure those endpoints which are all around the country or around the houses of people. So how do we secure how do we secure the complete communication between the system at home to system in the data center? So security is another very important area. And so these are 2 areas that we really focus around, and our focus will remain there to ensure that we ensure the data is secure, data is connected, is available, and the data centers and the environments are all secure. Few things that we are seeing, and that's what we are evaluating, and we are all in advanced discussions with some of the OEMs around here. One obviously is, if you really look at it lately, or not lately, I would say a few years now, IoT and areas around IoT security is playing a very, very important role, right? So we are working with some players, we are looking at solutions around it. How do we secure those environments? Because suddenly a new animal is coming who's also exposing my data center now. So obviously we are working with some OEMs, talking to a few OEMs to have robust solutions around it and how it complements the overall offering that we have. Second area obviously is the AI and machine learning. That's a very interesting area. A lot of work is going out around there, and very interesting companies, both Indian and companies from abroad are coming in. One thing I would also like to bring in here, we work very closely with some of the Indian OEMs, and we pride ourselves to be carrying their flag at times, because we believe Make in India, that Government of India had introduced, is a very, very important scheme and very important for our country's growth. So we keep on looking out, scouting around for some of the interesting technologies which is Make in India, and then try to work with them, not only for promoting them in India, but see how we can help them expand globally also in whichever way we can. Be it through global system integrators, the GSIs that are there, helping them to connect over there and reaching out to the right set of people to be part of the solution that they're offering, or just representing them in the country and helping them in the RFPs and tenders that are happening in the country today. If you really look at it, AI and machine learning, a lot of interesting companies are working on it. Robotics is another important area, RPA basically. So that's another area that we are evaluating certain technologies. We already have something in that space, but not very advanced right now, but we should be signing up someone very soon on that space also. One thing is very clear, we want to double our revenues in the next 2 years. So when we are taking such an aggressive growth plan, and especially when the pandemic is here and people are saying, how do you grow? And we are saying we're going to double our revenues in the next 2 years. Obviously there are a lot of planning, a lot of activities which are going at the back end. One is what I mentioned about the OEMs and what technologies we want to represent, what ways or what new areas we want to really focus around. The biggest win for us will be when our partners are representing us. And obviously there is a plan that we have as to who are the top partners that we're going to work with, what kind of solutions are they working on. So how we are now revisiting our plans with some of the partners is, what are the areas that they are in? What are the challenges that they're facing and how can we address those challenges? So we've identified partners nationally, we've identified partners regionally. And now the team is working with them to understand what is the need, what are the challenges, and how do we complement and how we help them grow their revenues. In turn, our revenues will grow. Is there some gap that they're facing? Is there some solution stack that they're not able to build? Can we help them in those spaces? So that's what we are doing with both national and regional partners at the moment. And the plan is that within the coming quarter, we have a more robust plan with each one of them. We can't have it with 100 partners or 200 partners. So it's a very selective group of partners that we have, that this is how we're going to help you grow, and in turn we will grow. And then replicate that with the other set of partners regionally also. It's all about, are they first and foremost, are they in the same space that we are in? Are they doing work around the same area? I think that's first and most critical area, right? And are we able to add value to what they're doing? Again, I'll go back to when I started the conversation. We take value very, very seriously. So if I'm not able to add value to their offering, it doesn't make sense for me. Then I'll do business as usual with them. It's just providing certain solutions to them, certain products to them, certain licenses to them, and they work the way they are working. But if I'm able to add value, which is substantial in their pursuits in the market, then it makes sense to go to them and talk to them. So that's the activity which is happening right now. So each partner manager, so we have, how we organized is, we have got the end customer team who is working with the end customers. We've got the partner manager team, we have the product management team, and then the pre-sales and the delivery teams. So these are the 5 teams that we have. So the partner manager team today is working with their set of partners and coming back to us that this is what we can do with them. So if I'm doing an X amount, if I focus on these areas with him, I will do X plus Y. And that Y needs to be substantial. That Y needs to show that this is RH value to that partner's business. Then only the partner will be excited, then only we will be excited. But if I'm just going to do X plus 0.5 one or whatever, it really doesn't excite the partner, or so that why needs to be substantial in multiple ways. It need not be pure play revenue, but it could be a new area, a new technology, a new space that we are working together on. Maybe today that might not be big, but moving forward, that area could become really big. So that's what the activity is happening. So all partner managers are coming back, and incidentally, week after next, some of them are going to be presenting to us also that this is what they have found and this is what they want to engage on with that. Almost 300 to 400 partners is what we engage with, but
so they are actively being built.
Yes. And every quarter, obviously they'll not be 300, 400. Every quarter there will be about 100, 120 partners that we are billing, plus minus 10%. So depending on certain quarters have multiple partners, certain quarters will be limited partners. So that's what traditionally has been happening with us. And out of that, we have said that 10% is only what we're going to take. So around 30 to 40 partners is what we are going to be taking to build on this area, because a lot of them are one-off partners, and out of this 400 partners that we have, one-off deal in a quarter they will do, or in a year they will do. But there are certain partners who have a very, very strong engagement with us. We really work with as partners together. We are there at the customer side. We are working together in solutioning. We are delivering solutions together, supporting customers together. So those are the partners that we are really focusing on and seeing how can we increase our pie with them, our wallet share with them, and our overall positioning with them. Capitalize on whatever is there right now. As you mentioned, your existing customers, they are very, very critical for you. Don't leave anything out there. Don't leave. Connect with them. Ensure that you are with them, solving their challenges, solving their problems, and working with them. End of the day, if you're solving a problem, your revenues will come in from them. For us, a customer is a partner, is an OEM, is an end customer also. So all three are customers for us. So have a very, very controlled and a very close engagements with all three of them from our partner perspective. Ensure that we are adding value to whatever we are doing in the market today. Be it helping them with sales activity, pre-sales activity, post-sales activity, or even for that marketing activities. Any of the activities there, the support is required, ensure we do that. And the other very important areas, the new technologies or the new OEMs that we've added, to ensure we get maximum out of those relationships now. Because that's where the growth will come in from. Major growth will come in from the new OEMs that are coming, right? Because if you really look at, if I'm looking at doubling my revenues, I can't double my revenues with the existing OEMs because it's next to impossible to do that. So what you need to do is you need to have these new partnerships coming in, and that's what we are right now working on, getting new partnerships in. And these partnerships are going to make sure that we double our revenues in next 2 years. And next 2 quarters are very, very critical because of whatever we've seen and whatever has happened. And fortunately for us, it's turning out to be quite decent in terms of our revenues. We just need to make sure that we are there in front of our partners and customers to bring in whatever we